Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here, and welcome to Friday's massive edition of the dceu Daily. Superman is being rebooted. Superman is being recast. It's something I didn't want to know was happening. I didn't want to hear it. I wanted to remain in denial that Henry Cavill would return. But I am now being told by my source, one of my sources, that Henry Cavill is definitely out. Walter Hamada is rebooting Superman, and apparently he's got some great, exciting ideas for a new version of Superman. So what does this mean? Well, the same with Ben Affleck. His Batman would have always still existed. So they can't wipe our memories of Henry Cavill's Superman. So they're going to have to think of some kind of plan. Why there's another Superman? I have no information on who will play the next Superman. I mean, it's obvious to a lot of people that obviously Henry Cavill is Zack Snyder's Superman, and it does look like to me they want to wipe out a lot of what Zack did with the dceu. They've got no choice to keep Jason Momoa. Aquaman made over $1 billion. He's staying. Gal Gadot, she's staying. Margot Robbie, she's staying. They have to stay because they're popular and successful, and it would be absolutely insane to mess with that. But we know, as far as Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill were concerned, there were issues there, maybe with the mainstream audience, and maybe because of Batman v Superman. Batman v Superman was a very divisive movie, even though I loved it, and I think that was part of the problem always. And I think that Walter Hamada was always at the opinion that maybe, as great as those guys are, we have to kind of get the broom, take the head, get the stick off, and just bring in, just buy a new broom altogether. I don't know why I'm comparing Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck to brooms. I suppose it's just a comparison. I do believe this. I think Superman is being rebooted. I think Henry will be recast. I don't think he'll be back. It's a great shame. It's a great shame. So what does this mean for Shazam? And what does this mean for maybe this kind of Superman cameo? We already know from recent test screenings, I already saw an early test screening and there was no sign of Superman in that. But in the later test screenings, apparently there's a body double as Superman, and we see the S-shield and all of that. So that's quite kind of interesting. Now, I think someone in these comments made a great point in my comments on one of the videos where they said basically, yes, it's a body double now, but someone's going to play Superman. And I agree with that. Someone's going to play Superman in this film. Now, whether it's Henry Cavill or somebody else, I don't know. It could be somebody else. I mean, this information I've got could be totally wrong, and Henry could still be Superman. But the noises, and what I always remember is that it was the Hollywood Reporter who said Henry Cavill was done as Superman. The Hollywood Reporter is Warner Brothers' mouthpiece. It has been for the past years to 6 months. So I do fear that this is the end of the road for Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill was a great Superman, especially Man of Steel. I think they definitely got him really spot on in Man of Steel. It was a great movie. But I think what tainted Superman really wasn't so much in Batman v Superman. And for some people, Superman was tainted big time in Batman versus Superman. But I think in Justice League, that was the big error. The decisions that they took, the terrible upper lip CGI, that was slaughtered on the internet. I mean, that was shown again and again and again and again. That's no good for Henry Cavill as Superman, because no one can take him seriously as Superman. Well, when I say no one, I actually mean the mainstream audience. It was there in focus. It was terrible CGI work, and that film should never have been released in that condition. But it was. Now, in terms of Henry Cavill's performance as Superman in Batman v Superman, again, for the mainstream audience and the die-hard Superman fans, it was a despicable kind of realization of what Superman should be. Now, I'll say again, I love Batman v Superman, I love Man of Steel, but if you've been following Superman in the comics all your life and you see what Superman was in Batman v Superman, you're understandably going to be horrified. He was a very dark character, much darker than he was in Man of Steel. There was a few gags in Man of Steel. There was a few smiles in Man of Steel. He very rarely smiles, if at all, in Batman v Superman. It was a very, very somber story for Superman. People don't believe in him. It's a great story. It's a great coming of age story for this Superman, because this Superman really isn't the Superman we know in Batman v Superman. Now, I believe it was Zack Snyder's plan and David S. Goyer's plan to kind of make him earn his right to be the Superman we know and love. And I get that. But nobody knew that. Nobody wanted to wait for that. And that's the problem. So the die was cast. Again, I'll say for people who are hard of hearing, I like Man of Steel, I like Batman v Superman. But when you're making iconic characters, when you're writing for iconic characters, it's very, very, very important that you always remember the people who have read that character or seen that character previously. It's all very well saying, well, we're doing a modern take here, fuck what the diehard fans think. That's just not the attitude. And I think it was the attitude that was taken. I know there'll be people, diehard people, who will, defend what was done with Batman v Superman. I personally think it went a bit too far with the darkness of Superman. Even his costume was even darker, at times. I mean, it did seem to get darker and lighter in the film, which was interesting, depending what was going on within the film. But I think with Superman want a bright, optimistic Superman. It's as simple as that. That's what his fans want. And with the amount of complaints about it, you can understand what happened there. It doesn't take away that Zack Snyder made a great movie, that I really enjoyed Batman v Superman. But, I think, it was a very divisive film. And that was one of the reasons, because Superman was so dark and brooding. A lot of people called him emo Superman. And again, I don't particularly agree with that. But you can understand how divisive that was, because Superman's never been that dark. And Superman needs to be optimistic. Superman needs to show everyone the way. He's the torchbearer. He's the light. And he must shine the light in our eyes to convince us that's the right way to live. If you read the graphic novel Superman vs. the Elite, when Manchester Black is saying, you're wrong, Superman. You should just kill these villains so they don't come back. And the world starts to agree with Manchester Black and turn on Superman. And it's only when Superman displays why it's wrong to kill, why he doesn't kill, when he scares everyone and makes them think that he's actually killed Manchester Black's team. Even Manchester Black shits himself because he thinks, oh my God, Superman's turned. I've done it, but I never thought I would. It's only when you see the light become dark that you're horrified. And this is what happened with Batman v Superman. He becomes a dark character. He's not that optimistic light. He's not showing us the way. In a way, in the end, when he sacrifices himself, he is showing us the way. And I've got tears running down my eyes. And I even say it out loud in the cinema, that's my Superman. But because within the whole film, he's not doing that. He's not that optimistic ray of light. And it is problematic to a lot of fans. So this is why I suppose this was always going to happen. There was always going to be a Superman reboot. There was always going to be a recasting. And it's very, very interesting. Do I believe my source? Sauces are like ketchup. Sometimes you like it. Sometimes it tastes great. Sometimes it tastes bad. I don't know. I am starting now. I've been on so many emotions, since Justice League, and not thinking. I thought once I saw Justice League that Henry will never play Superman again. The damage to him was so bad. The way they CGI'd his smiles on there in Justice League, the fake background on the farm, it was terrible. We go back to the terrible CG on his upper lip. It was just embarrassing. And I thought, Henry's never going to be Superman again. He can't, because it was terrible. It looked terrible. And it wasn't about his performance. There wasn't a performance there, to be honest with you, because he was rushed back to do a few scenes and then go back and finish Mission Impossible Fallout. It was a ridiculous situation. And I think in that moment, the die was cast. And that's not Henry's fault. That's not Ben Affleck's fault. The cringy Batman grin, that's not Ben Affleck's fault. It's what he was told to do by Whedon. Warner Brothers thought they could bring Whedon in bring in the MCU and bring in the Green, and it didn't happen. They made a mistake. They now know the decisions they're making now are counteracting the mistake they made with Justice League. And this is why they have to recast Batman. This is why they have to recast Superman. It's bittersweet because I always have Man of Steel. I always have Batman v Superman. But I just think of Zack's 5-movie arc and what Henry could have achieved within that. It would have been really, really beautiful. Henry Cavill is a brilliant actor, and I look forward to following his career in the future. But yes, I believe Henry Cavill is no longer Superman. And I haven't believed that. I've been on here vehemently telling you that Henry Cavill is still Superman. I really believed it. I really, really did. But ultimately, in the end, you have to let go. No matter how tightly you hold on to something. I think there's a reason why there's no announcements, why Henry Cavill is trying his best, but it does seem to be, I don't even think there's any negotiations with Henry. I really don't. Maybe he'll do the Shazam cameo, maybe he won't. I don't know. I don't know what's going on because he is not talking, Warner Brothers are not talking. It's an interesting situation. And it just seems to me a very similar situation to the Batfleck situation where we all kind of knew that Ben Affleck was being recast as Batman, but nobody was saying anything. It seems the same thing now. Everybody knows that Henry won't be back, but nobody's talking about it. We're talking about it because we can talk about it, but they're keeping quiet till the right moment. I suppose the right moment will be when they announce another Superman film or Superman cameo. I believe, will there be a Superman cameo in Shazam? I don't think there will be. No, I don't believe there will be. I think they'll stick with the body double. Even though I was resisting that being true, I think that is true. I think they'll just stick with a body double and we'll see the issue. Maybe we'll see someone playing Superman. I don't know. I doubt it. I believe the next time we'll see Superman is in the Supergirl movie, and that Superman will be played by another actor. It's very sad because Henry Cavill deserves better. Ben Affleck deserves better. You know, this is what happens when big companies make big decisions, because when you sign on that dotted line as an actor, and I've been there, they own your ass and there's not much you can do about it, right? And it's only when you become a bit more older and experienced and you can govern your own career a lot better. You don't get into these situations. You know, Henry Cavill was cast as Superman. How exciting was that? Ben Affleck is a massive Batman fan, cast as Batman. Zack Snyder wanted to work with him, wanted to share the creative kind of situations so they could develop Batman together, and they did. And it was a dream for those two guys. And in the end, that dream kind of became a nightmare because there were so many mistakes within what was going on. Too many cooks did spoil the broth, unfortunately. Some of the stuff Henry Cavill said before the release of Justice League, where he said no matter if there was a Marvel or not, we still would have struggled within the DCEU. And I think he's right there. As I say, no, even though I support the DCEU, I love the DCEU, and there's been great achievements within the DCEU. I think so many mistakes have been made, and I think the biggest mistake was having Christopher Nolan in this Godfather role. Then he brings in Zack Snyder, then he takes a back seat, and then it all hits the fans because you've not just got Zack Snyder running things, you've got Jeff Johns, you've got David S. Goyer, you've got John Byrne. Too many cooks spoiled the broth. It was a big mistake. And now we're losing actors that we love in these roles because of the decisions these studios and these creatives did. And we have to live with that. But I'm not one of those people who's going to go on Twitter now and start attacking this one or that one. It's like people attacking Gal Gadot for supposedly betraying Zack Snyder, which is total nonsense, and we know that. She's repeatedly said the guy saved her career. She was going to quit acting before he brought her in for an audition for Wonder Woman. So, you know, a lot of crap. So I'm not going to vent on Twitter. It is sad. There's a sadness to me. But you know what? There's also an excitement to see who's cast as Superman, who's cast as Batman. And look forward to this bright new future to see the new adventures of Batman and Superman. Yeah. And if we want to see Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck as Batman and Superman, all we have to do is watch their previous movies. I'll check you tomorrow when I will bring you more DCEU Daily.